Welcome back to Clues and Shadows. Before we begin our journey tonight, I want you to find a comfortable position. Adjust your pillows. Pull the blanket up to your shoulders. Let the weight of the day fade away. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and slowly let it out. Tonight, we are not just telling a story, we are traveling back in time. We are going back to a different America. The year is 1971. It is November. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine trees and damp earth. Imagine the Pacific Northwest, the states of Oregon and Washington, a land of dense, green forests that stretch for miles, untouched and mysterious. A place where the rain falls constantly, creating a rhythm that lulls the world to sleep. In 1971, the world felt larger. There were no smartphones, no internet, no GPS. If someone wanted to disappear, they truly could. Air travel was different then, too. It was the golden age of flying. There were no metal detectors at the gates. No taking off your shoes. No rigorous security checks. You could simply buy a ticket at the counter, like buying a ticket for a movie, and walk straight onto the plane. People dressed up to fly. Men wore suits and ties. Women wore elegant dresses. It was an occasion, an experience. On the afternoon of November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving, the city of Portland, Oregon, was covered in a blanket of gray clouds. A storm was brewing. The kind of storm that makes you want to stay inside, safe and warm. But at the Portland International Airport, travelers were rushing to get home to their families. The terminal was filled with the sounds of footsteps, muffled announcements over the intercom, and the soft hum of conversation. Among the crowd, there was one man who moved with a slow, deliberate calmness. He was a man of average height, in his mid-40s. He wore a dark suit, a white shirt perfectly ironed, and a narrow black tie. He wore a black raincoat over his arm. He looked like a businessman, a father, a neighbor. Nobody looked at him twice. He was invisible in his normalcy. He approached the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. With a steady hand, he purchased a one-way ticket on Flight 305 to Seattle. It was a short flight, only 30 minutes. He gave his name calmly, Dan Cooper. He paid in cash. He picked up his ticket. He picked up his attaché case, a briefcase that he held tightly. And he walked towards the gate, listening to the rain hitting the large glass windows of the terminal. Tap, tap, tap. Little did anyone know, this man was walking into history. He was walking into a mystery that would haunt the FBI for over 50 years. Let's follow him onto the plane. The Boeing 727 begins to move. You can feel the vibration in the floor. A gentle shaking that travels up through the soles of your feet. The engines roar to life, a deep, powerful hum that drowns out all other thoughts. Slowly, heavy metal lifts off the wet runway. The lights of Portland start to blur outside the window. Streaks of yellow and white, fading into the mist. And then, darkness. The plane enters the thick layer of clouds. The world below disappears. There is only the hum. The steady, comforting hum of flight. Inside the cabin, the no smoking sign flickers off with a soft ding. It is a sound from a different era. Cooper is sitting in seat 18C. It is an aisle seat in the rear of the plane. The interior of the plane is cozy, almost cramped by modern standards. The seats are upholstered in a patterned fabric, scratchy but soft. The air in the cabin is warm. The lights are dimmed, casting long, soft shadows across the aisle. Cooper takes a pack of Raleigh cigarettes from his pocket. He pulls one out. He lights it. The tip glows bright orange in the dim light. A thin ribbon of blue smoke curls up towards the ceiling vents. In 1971, the smell of tobacco was part of the atmosphere of flying. A scent of earth and ash mixing with the recycled air. He leans back. He seems completely at ease. His heart rate is likely slow. His breathing, steady. He watches the flight attendant, Florence, moving down the aisle. She approaches him. He orders a bourbon and soda. She pours it. The amber liquid swirls in the plastic cup. The fizz of the soda. The clink of the ice. He pays her. He hands her a bill and smiles. There is no malice in his eyes. Just a calm, devastating focus. It is now approximately 3 p.m. The plane is leveling off. The captain announces they are cruising at a safe altitude. The passengers are reading newspapers, chatting quietly, or dozing off to the sound of the engines. Cooper takes a sip of his drink. He places his glass on the tray table. Then, with slow, deliberate movements, he reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a small, folded piece of paper. It is a simple note, written in neat, capital letters with a felt tip pen. He waits for Florence to pass by again. When she does, he lifts his hand. He doesn't grab her. He doesn't wave frantically. He simply offers her the note. She takes it. She assumes it is a phone number. A lonely businessman trying his luck. She drops it into her purse without looking. She starts to walk away. Cooper watches her. He clears his throat softly. He leans forward, just an inch. His voice is a low rumble, barely louder than the engine noise. He says, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." Imagine hearing those words. But imagine them spoken not as a threat, but as a statement of fact. Like saying, "It is raining outside." Florence stops. She turns. She looks at him. He's wearing dark sunglasses now. Wraparound sunglasses with black rims. They hide his eyes completely. He gestures to the briefcase on the seat next to him. "Sit down," he whispers, "and I will show you." She sits. The fabric of the seat rustles. He unlatches the case. Click. Click. He opens it just enough. Inside, she sees the red cylinders. The battery. The tangle of wires. It looks real. He closes the case gently. He looks at her, his face expressionless behind the dark glasses. He dictates his demands. $200,000. For parachutes. A fuel truck standing by in Seattle. He tells her to go to the cockpit. To tell the pilot. She stands up. Her legs must be trembling, but she's a professional. She walks the long length of the aisle, towards the front. Cooper stays in his seat. He takes another drag of his cigarette. He sips his bourbon. He looks out the window at the nothingness of the gray sky. He's the only one who knows that the world is about to change. For everyone else on board, it is just a flight. For him, it is the beginning of the legend. The minutes tick by. Tick. 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 The plane circles in the sky. Waiting. The hum of the engine continues, on and on. The plane does not land yet. Instead, it begins to circle. A holding pattern. Round and round, over the Puget Sound. The captain comes over the intercom. His voice is crackly, calm, professional. He tells the passengers that there is a minor mechanical issue. We just need to burn off some fuel before we land, he says. It is a lie, of course. But the passengers do not know. They sigh. They shift in their seats. They open their books again. They accept the delay, wrapped in the warm, drowsy cocoon of the cabin. Cooper knows the truth. He knows the FBI is on the ground, scrambling to find the money. He knows they are driving fast through the wet streets of Seattle, collecting $10,000 $20 bills. But he does not panic. He sits in his corner, seat 18C, like a statue carved from patience. He looks at his watch. He looks out the window. Below, through the breaks in the heavy clouds, you can see the lights of Seattle. Tiny, shimmering dots of gold and amber in the blackness. Like scattered coins on dark velvet. The city looks so peaceful from up here. Thousands of people in their homes, having dinner, watching TV, completely unaware of the lone man circling above them in the night sky. Cooper orders a second bourbon. He insists on paying for it. He even tries to give the flight attendant, Florence, a tip. He asks her if she has eaten. He worries that the crew might be hungry. It is surreal. He is hijacking a plane, threatening to blow it up, yet he is concerned about their dinner. He is the gentleman bandit. He speaks about the geography below. He knows the land. Looks like Tacoma down there, he murmurs, pointing at the grid of lights. The time drags on. 30 minutes. An hour. The rain outside intensifies. You can hear it drumming against the aluminum skin of the plane. A rhythmic, soothing tapping. Tap. 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 Finally, the radio crackles again. The money's ready. The parachutes are ready. The captain announces the descent. The plane tips its nose down. It glides through the thick, wet clouds. Lower and lower until the runway lights appear. Two long lines of bright white cutting through the darkness. The wheels come down. Thud. Lock. The plane touches the tarmac. Screech. The reverse thrusters roar, a loud, washing sound, slowing the great machine down. They taxi to a remote section of the airport. Away from the terminal. Away from the other travelers. A lonely spot on the wet concrete, illuminated only by floodlights. It is dark outside. The rain is pouring sideways now, blown by the wind. Cooper orders the lights in the cabin to be turned off. He wants darkness. He doesn't want the snipers outside to see inside. So, the passengers sit in the dark. They see only the rain streaking the windows, illuminated by the flashing red lights of emergency vehicles in the distance. A mobile staircase is rolled up to the plane. The door opens. The smell of jet fuel and cold rain rushes in. A man from the airline approaches. He hands over a heavy canvas bag. It contains $200,000. It weighs 21 pounds. Then, the parachutes are delivered. Cooper checks them. He is meticulous. He rejects military parachutes. He asked for civilian ones. Sport parachutes. He knows exactly what he needs. And then, he keeps his word. He allows the passengers to leave. One by one, they stand up. Confused, tired, but relieved. They walk down the stairs, into the rain, and onto a bus. Cooper watches them go. He is alone now. Just him. The 4 crew members he kept as hostages. And the money. The cabin is empty. The seats are empty. The silence returns. But the engines are still running. Waiting for his next command. Waiting to take him back into the sky. The Boeing 727 turns on the wet runway. It is lighter now. Empty of passengers. Cooper orders the pilot to taxi. He gives specific instructions, like a captain commanding his own ship. Fly south, he says. Towards Mexico. Keep the landing gear down. Keep the wing flaps at 15 degrees. He wants the plane to fly slow. Very slow. He wants the cabin unpressurized. Usually, planes fly at 30,000 feet. Cooper orders them to stay below 10,000. Right in the thick of the storm. The plane lifts off. The lights of Seattle vanish behind them. Ahead, there is only darkness. A wall of black clouds stretching endlessly to the south. Inside the plane, it is eerie. The empty rows of seats look like silent spectators. Cooper is alone in the back. He orders the flight attendant, Tina Mucklow, to go to the cockpit and close the door. She looks at him one last time. He is tying the money bag to his waist. He is putting on the parachute. There is no fear in his face. Only determination. She walks to the front. She closes the door. Cooper is now the only soul in the main cabin. He walks to the rear of the plane. In the 727, there is a door in the floor at the very back. Stairs that lower down. Cooper activates the mechanism. Whir. Clunk. The stairs begin to open. Suddenly, the sound of the world changes. The roar of the engines mixes with the scream of the wind rushing into the cabin. The air pressure drops. The temperature plummets. Freezing cold air from the storm swirls around him. Papers fly off the seats. The curtains flap violently. Imagine standing there, on the edge of a metal ramp. Below you, there is nothing but blackness. No lights. No ground visible. Just the void. The wind is howling at 200 miles per hour. The rain stings like needles. It is incredibly loud, yet in his mind, it must be silent. Cooper stands on the stairs. He looks down into the abyss of the Washington forest. Thousands of pine trees, invisible in the dark. Rivers swollen with rain. Valleys filled with mist. It is 8:13 p.m. The pilots in the cockpit feel a bump. A slight oscillation in the tail of the plane. Like a car hitting a small bump in the road. They check the instruments. The warning light for the rear door is on. But they hear nothing from the back. They call out on the intercom. Mr. Cooper? Silence. Only the wind answers. DB Cooper is gone. He stepped off the edge. He fell back into the night. One man falling through the storm with a parachute and a fortune in stolen cash. Did the parachute open? Did he see the treetops rushing towards him? Or was it just darkness all the way down? The plane continued flying south, an empty vessel carrying a ghost. But Cooper was already part of the forest. Part of the rain. Part of the mystery. The plane landed safely in Reno, Nevada. Police and FBI agents surrounded it. But when they opened the door, there was only silence. The tie clip, the cigarette butts in the ashtray. Those were the only things he left behind. The man known as Dan Cooper had vanished. In the days and weeks that followed, a massive search began. Hundreds of soldiers and agents combed the forests of Washington. Imagine these men walking slowly through the dense wilderness. The Pacific Northwest forest is not like other forests. It is ancient, deep, covered in thick, green moss. The trees are so tall they block out the sky. The ground is soft, covered in ferns and pine needles. They searched every ravine, every cave, every riverbank. They walked through the mist and the rain, looking for a parachute, looking for a suit. But the forest gave them nothing. Years passed. The rain continued to fall. The seasons changed. Snow covered the mountains, then melted into the rivers. In 1980, 9 years later, a young boy was digging a fire pit on the sandy banks of the Columbia River. His hand brushed against something buried in the sand. Bundles of money. $20 bills. They were rotting, decayed. The edges were rounded by the water and time. The serial numbers matched. It was Cooper's money. But where was Cooper? Did he land safely and bury the money, intending to come back? Did he lose it in the fall? Or did the river carry it down from the mountains? There are many theories. Some say he survived, that he lived a quiet life under a different name. Maybe he was a neighbor, a friend, a grandfather. Others say the storm took him, that he sleeps forever beneath the tall pines. But tonight, it doesn't matter, because the mystery is what makes it beautiful. He's the only man in history to hijack a commercial plane in the United States and remain unsolved. He's a ghost story, a whisper in the wind. The search is over now. The forest is quiet. The rain has stopped. The only sound is the wind moving gently through the branches. Shoot. SHHH. Everything is still. Everything is at peace. Now, let the story fade away. Let the image of the plane, the money, and the man dissolve into the darkness behind your eyelids. You are safe. You are warm. The mystery is not for you to solve tonight. Tonight is for rest. Focus on your breathing. In and out. Heavy and slow. Like the slow current of a deep river. Drifting, drifting. The forest is sleeping. And now you can sleep too. Good night.